Hi children, just a quick message from Mr. Davis. I'd love to be in the hall with you all, sharing some fun, playing the guitar, etc. But at the moment we have to make sure we do things slightly differently. So this is how I'm going to be talking to you about the service this week and possibly after half term as well. But most importantly, can I say a massive thank you to all the children and to the staff for making this last 7 weeks so enjoyable, and how wonderful it's been seeing the school full of laughter and full of children enjoying themselves learning again. It's been fantastic walking around, and although I see most of you all day, different times, I wanted to say that to all the children through this message here as well. As I said, you've come back to school, to a different type of school, as in you stay in your classes with your class teacher and your teaching assistants, and don't normally see your other friends, which is obviously quite upsetting sometimes, but you have dealt with that really well, and you have made sure that you've stayed with your bubble, you've stayed with your class, and you've kept everybody safe, which is fantastic. So thank you very much for all of that. As I was saying, the 7 weeks have now come to the end. We have a half term next week, which we're all looking forward to having. But as I'm sure your mums or your dads have been talking about, it's not going to be quite the same as what we normally have. We normally next week have things like Halloween celebrations, and we have parties, etc. And it's the same for me and my family. We've obviously planned different things, but at the moment we can't do those. But I'm sure your parents and your different family are setting things up for you to enjoy in your house and having different parties in your house as a family, as we're doing in ours. And I'm sure that you'll still celebrate Halloween and different things that you're doing with your family next week. We all hope that next year, when we have things like Halloween and bonfire, that will be back to normal and we can all share the experience or different times with everybody else. But for this year, obviously, we've been told that we need to make sure that we enjoy ourselves with our own family for the next week. I'm looking forward to it, so are my children, and already starting to think about party food, etc. The other thing to think about as well is obviously the week will go very quickly, and we will soon be back together, back in school, a week on Monday, which is great news for all of us, because what we didn't want to do is not be able to see you for a long time again. So the news that you're coming back to school week on Monday is fantastic, and we can carry on looking forward to, and as we always do this time, we're looking forward to Christmas and looking forward to doing activities about Christmas. I also believe that the classes this year will be doing some very exciting video work and doing some films to share with parents, so that you'll be doing Christmas concerts, etc. in your classes and different places, and doing films that we'll share, which will be great for us to all to share across the school and with parents. So that's really exciting as well. But as I was saying, lots of things have happened this last 7 weeks, and they've all been fantastic. And the children, as I said, all of you there, have really enjoyed your company. And I believe that all the classes, and maybe your teachers haven't shared yet this information, but you've all now got different names for your classes. And I've got a list here, so I'm going to go through each one so I can say hello to each and every class. So we've got the nursery in the morning, which is Envis. So, well, hello Envis, which is obviously a name you'll get used to. In the afternoon, we've got the Seren, which is a star. As I said, Envis is a rainbow. Then we go to Miss Rogers' class. So thank you, Miss Rogers' class, for everything that you've done. And you are going to be called Mesen, which is an acorn. Mrs. Kavanagh, nice to see you, like I see every morning as well, which is Glasbren, which is a sapling, which is a very, very young tree. Then we've got Daru, Mrs. Davis's, which is an oak. So hello, Mrs. Davis's group, Daru. Miss Anderton, which is Drainog, which is a hedgehog. Hello to all of you as well. Miss Murray, Llwynog, which is the fox. So hello to all the children in Miss Murray's class as well. And hello to Mrs. Dolby's, which is Tylluan, which is quite a difficult word to say. Tylluan, which is an owl. And then we go to Mrs. Williams. Hello, Mrs. Williams' class. And it's Llywelyn. Mr. Jones is Branwen. And Mr. Dale is Glyndŵr, which is all Welsh. sort of fables, etc., and famous people. Miss Cox, Harlech, which is obviously a famous town with a famous castle, and Mrs. Goldberg is called Beaumaris, which is obviously another castle and another lovely village on Anglesey. So they're all the names, and I just say hello to everybody. So they're the names we're going to be using from now on. So lovely Welsh names that we will learn, and our aim will be that we can teach your parents those names as well. But as I was saying, obviously this service is very, very different to normal, where we go into the hall. But at the moment, this is how we're going to try and do it. And hopefully, as I get better and make less mistakes, that will make it more fun, and maybe the guitar can come out and different things can happen. But I've just got a little story I'd like to share with you for a couple of minutes. A long time ago, it seems now, back in March, just before we closed down, we started talking about tunnels. And if you remember, I mentioned to you about my experience, the time that I went to a different country and I went through a tunnel I'd never been through before. And that tunnel, when I was at the start of it, had traffic lights. And the reason it had traffic lights is because they were letting cars go through one by one. And because it was so strange to me, because I've been through too many tunnels in the past, but never had I stopped by a tunnel. And this tunnel was very, very different, if you remember me telling you, because it actually went right through a huge mountain. And it went from one country to another country. So when I was waiting at the start, and when the light changed to green, I knew it was my turn to go through. But what I'd forgotten to do was to check how long I would be in the tunnel for and how big the tunnel was. And when I went inside the tunnel with a friend of mine, we didn't know how long that tunnel was going to last. And the strange thing was, halfway down, if you remember the story, halfway down the tunnel, I got quite scared because I didn't know where the end of that tunnel was. I didn't know how long I'd been in there, and I didn't know how much more time it would be there. But after a long time, it felt an awful long time, I started to see right in the distance some lights at the end of the tunnel, as they say. And I was so happy, and the word I'd use is relieved, which means I was so happy that it was nearly at the end. And we went out to the tunnel, and the view at the end of the tunnel was incredible because, as I said, it was a different country, it was a beautiful river, and it was a lovely countryside all the way around, and I was so happy to get at the end. And the reason I told you that story and reminded children that story is because we at the moment are still looking inside a tunnel, trying to get at the end of what's happening around the whole world at the moment. But the thing is that we all need to remember that that tunnel will end, and that light will be here sooner rather than later, and we can see the end of it, and we can all see that beautiful sort of scenery, or in our ways be able to spend all our time with our friends outside school, with our families, etc. So that will happen. But what we need to remember is that we have to make sure that we are patient, which means we wait, and when that time comes, we will all celebrate together. So that was a story I shared with you months ago, and it's still there, and it's still important. It's something I still remember now. There's another story, and the story is the elephant rope. One day there was a man passing a few elephants. Something made him stop. He stopped and looked at the elephants. It was something he didn't understand. He was looking carefully at the elephant's legs, and right at the bottom of the elephant's legs there were these very, very thin ropes that were on their legs and also on a post. So these ropes were stopping the elephants from moving. But what he couldn't understand was the fact that these ropes were really thin, and the elephants could easily move their legs and break these ropes straight away, and they could walk wherever they wanted. But they didn't. They just stayed there. They didn't move, even though they could break the ropes. He saw somebody standing by the elephants who was looking after the elephants, and he asked them, why are the elephants just standing there? Why don't they realise they can move their legs, break the rope, and then they can move wherever they want? And the man said that when they were very, very young, and much, much smaller and younger, they used exactly the same rope around their legs as they do now. And what the elephants didn't realise is that as they grew up, they were becoming stronger and they could break the rope. When they were younger, they couldn't break the rope, but when they got older, they could easily move their legs. But because they didn't believe they could do, they just stayed where they were. They believed the rope could still hold them, and they never tried to break free. The man was shocked and amazed. These animals could at any time break free and do whatever they wanted. But because they never tried, they couldn't. They were stuck right where they were. Like the elephants, how many of us go through life hanging on to things, saying we can't do it, I'll never be able to do that, I'll never be able to learn my timetables, I'll never be able to read properly. How many times do we give up too easily and not think that we can do something? And it's really important that we always try our best. We always try to make ourselves better, try and do things we find hard and that we struggle with, so that one day we sit back and think, you know what, I can do that now. And that's the same, that if the elephants would have thought of that, they could have done the same thing. So it's a nice little story, and it's just a little message to make sure that we keep on trying. And particularly now when things are quite hard at the moment, we're all trying our best to keep smiling, trying our best to still enjoy ourselves and trying to enjoy our friendships and enjoying being in school. And that just brings me to the end of this small little service, that we can think about the last 7 weeks, and you think about how we all thought, how is it going to be in school, how are we going to enjoy ourselves, and then you think back about how fantastic the last 7 weeks have been and how much enjoyment we've had from being back together with our friends in our school, with our teachers, with our staff, and enjoying having our time learning again. It has been a fantastic 7 weeks. And I would like to say it's been 8 weeks for the staff, and I can not say how proud I am on this video of all the staff in the school and how they have helped you children to make sure that you're happy and that you're still learning and still getting better. So before I finish, I would like you to look at your teachers and your staff and say a big huge thank you to them, because they deserve a massive thank you, because they've been brilliant. And I'm sure at the end of this video you will look at your teachers and your staff and say thank you to them, because I certainly say thank you to them, because they've been wonderful. But as I said, next week is a holiday, and as I said as well, unfortunately it's not going to be the same as it was last year for Halloween. It's not going to be the same for Bonfire when we come back after half term, because we have, as you know, got rules that we have to make sure we stay with our family, only our family, your brothers, your sisters and your mums, your dads, and make sure that we keep ourselves safe, because that's all we're trying to do at WEPA and in WEPA, and our families around WEPA is keeping ourselves safe and making sure that when we do get back to normal, we can have a massive celebration, and where we can do things that we want to do. Like hopefully next year we'll have a fantastic trick-or-treat celebrations, we'll have fantastic bonfires, etc. But for this year it's going to be slightly different, and we're going to have to listen to our teachers and listen to our parents and make sure that we keep ourselves safe and make sure that you enjoy yourself with your own family for the week coming up. Thank you very much, children, and I'll see you week on Monday, and hopefully I'll see you before you go home tonight. Thank you.